Good morning, friends. Welcome to the 2016 Joint Corporate Meeting of the Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation and Second Act Communities. Our theme for today is best reflected in a contemporary quote by President Barack Obama. And here's what he said: "Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek." That was not a fully original quote. Actually, that was taken from the Hopi Indians, the elders of the Hopi Indian tribe. And their quote provides even more direction to us. They said, "Banish the word struggle from your attitude and your vocabulary. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration. We are the ones that we've been waiting for." Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor this morning to present to you the chairman of the Second Act Communities Board, Mr. Jim Banks, and the chairman of the Virginia Beach Community Development Board, Mr. Chris Beal.
Good morning. Could I get everyone to stand, please, for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
To the
to
flag
the flag
of
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning. My name is Chris Beal. I'm the president of the board, chairman of the board for Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation, and I'd like to call our meeting to order. We need to approve the agenda. May I entertain a motion to approve the agenda from Alex? Do we have a second? Second. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The Second Act Communities, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Move for approval of the agenda. Moved. Do I hear a second? Moved and properly second. All those in favor, please say aye. Ayes have it. At this time, I would like to just take you back a little bit to about the middle 80s here in Virginia Beach. Of course, this wasn't here. And at that time, we saw a need in Virginia Beach for properties that were located in certain areas, which we call target areas, to be fixed up. They didn't have water, they didn't have sewage. And the city was trying to figure out some way to do it. And there was a young lady named Mary Kay Hoshevsky, and I got the name right, and a gentleman that was a banker by the name of Charles Reynolds, and some other people who decided to get together and try to start a community development corporation. Well, that corporation opened up, and now you see where we are. So I welcome you here this morning, because where we had all of these target areas that we had to get money for to get fixed up, that's been done. Now I want you to see the new vision, and that's what that's about this morning. So I want to thank you this morning for being here. At this time, I would like to call forward Pastor Tavon Rogers to give the blessing.
Good morning. Let us all bow. Father, we are grateful for this time that you've given us to share. We're thankful, God, that you are our provider. We ask now that you would bless the hands that have prepared the food that we are about to receive for the nourishment of our bodies, for Christ our Redeemer's sake. Amen.
we have a number of very important people. Not that we all are not important people, but we have some special guests that are either here or coming in short order that I would like to recognize. First of all, I'm going to start at home. I'm going to ask the Virginia Beach Community Development Board to please stand. Thank you. I'm going to ask Second Act Communities Board to please stand. Thank you. These people have worked hard in the last years that they've ever worked in their lives, so we would definitely want to appreciate them and let you all know how much we love them. Next, I'd like to ask the Virginia Beach Community Development Executive Team to please stand. Sharon, Ann, Jessica. And where's Karen? Karen is serving as our where's Karen? You need to be standing. All right. Thank you. And I want to ask, just keep standing, Sharon, the Second Acts Executive Team to please stand. So a little carryover there. Thank you both. Thank you all. We have with us today, the mayor's not quite here yet, but we're expecting Mayor William Sessoms. Is Shannon Kane in the room yet? Shannon Kane, who is one of our city council members. Douglas Smith, our Deputy City Manager for Virginia Beach. Deputy Chief Tony Zaccaro from the Virginia Beach Police Department. I know that Captain Orr is here. Captain J.T. Orr is in the room with us. We really appreciate your support. Andy Friedman, there's Andy. Andy is our partner. He's with the City of Virginia Beach. He's a director of the Department of Housing and Neighborhood Preservation. And is Louise here yet? Louise Strayhorn will be joining us. Louise is a former Virginia Beach City Council member. From the City of Goldsboro, we're pleased to welcome, is Antonio in the room yet? Antonio Williams is coming, who's a city councilman from the City of Goldsboro. And also, we're pleased to have Scott Stevens with us, who's the city manager at the City of Goldsboro. With the City of Wilson, we have Dr. Michael Bell. He's positioned himself over here. We also will have with us a little later today, Dr. Wanda Bernard Bailey, who's the Deputy City Manager for the City of Chesapeake. And we have some very, very important corporate donors that we just want to call out because they help us to do what we do, and that is changing communities. We have Ann Boland from Love Funding, Mark Johnson representing SunTrust Bank. Give Mark a big hand. Is Ann here? Okay. And Chris Beal representing Southern Bank and Trust Company. You have lots of reading material at your seat, and I just wanted to let you know about some of the pieces that you have. For the first time in the history of either organization, we are beginning to raise funds, to raise money. I think this might be the first time we've ever publicly made a soft ask in a group meeting such as this. And let me tell you why it's important. You all know that a lot of the federal and state funding is dwindling. Some of you may also know that when we do get HUD grants and state grants, a lot of times, even city grants, Andy, thank you for that. A lot of times they are really restrictive. So we may be working with a community group who knows, yes, we need to do senior housing, but we really need to be market rate, or we really need to do mixed use so that we can put a grocery on the first floor and housing on the second floor. Whenever you get a grant, there are restrictions, and a lot of times they want you to do it the way they do it. We have a real need to be innovative in this country and in the City of Virginia Beach. So we are raising funds so that we can begin to be innovative and to be able to deliver to communities exactly what they want and need and not be restricted by grants. So that's what that soft ask is about. There is a brochure there, and there's a little folder, a little note card. Let me see if I got one up here. That if you would like to make a donation today or later, there's an envelope. You can leave your envelope on the back table there, or you can take it with you. But we would welcome you to go on this journey with us, and let's think about how we can do some great work together. You also have on your table the annual impact reports for both organizations. There's Tiffany and Jessica. Can I get you two to stand? I am so pleased with this report. Let's give them a big hand. You know, I am so pleased with this report because it really expands the type of reporting we did the last time we did an annual report. If you've seen it, we're probably up several pages. And we think that the important thing that you'd want to know is not how many widgets we made, but what impact we had. So we intentionally turned these annual reports into impact reports. There's some information tables in the back. What I want to draw your attention to is the procurement table. We have put into place a procurement function for the first time in the history of VBCDC and Second Act. We are actively looking for contractors and vendors to sign up and be a part of RFPs and RFQs as we send out. So if you know of a small business in particular, or of a woman-owned business, minority-owned business, or just a business that you think might be good partners with us, where's Carlton? Carlton's our manager for procurement. We would love for you to talk with him today and pass that information on. Finally, several of us are going on a bus tour, going on a bus trip today. And I want you to know Jim. Is Jim in the room? There's Jim. Jim, where do you want to meet these folk? Down on the first floor or right there? On the first floor. Okay. So Jim is going to meet you there and direct you to the bus. Your cars are fine. We will be returning here at about 3:30 for the bus tour. Have I left out anything? All right. Thank you so much. Let's see. So what we'd like to do now is we want to show you a video that gives you a little look into what Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation does. And that video will be followed by a very special guest, Dr. Michael Bell, who is city councilman with the city of Goldsboro. Wilson, I'm sorry, why do I keep calling you Gold? You know how I do. Charge it to my head and not my heart. So first the Second Act video, and then the next voice you will hear would be Dr. Bell.
So today, we've come back to Goldsboro to continue our conversations with the city manager. We chose to work with this town particularly because of the amount of funds that have gone into redeveloping the downtown area. It's gorgeous. In my work in North Carolina, I would say that the greatest change that's happening is that people want to come back and live downtown. And I knew that Goldsboro is one of the most important cities in Eastern North Carolina. It's a progressive city leadership driving business to the downtown area, and it appeared to me they would be our perfect partner. Not only are we award-winning design builders, but we also have a heart for the people in the community. The history of the town is there. And so when you renovate or redevelop a small city, you are actually giving people options they did not have before. The housing that we will create here is going to be built around the needs of those who might live there, as opposed to having a cookie cutter design that we take from state to state for market rate housing. And I believe it will be very much in line with what the city council would be interested in.
As we got talking through the process and what's going on in downtown Goldsboro and this 3-acre site that the city has, we were talking about apartments, upper story, and Addie talking to her was like, well, we can do that. So our conversations month after month have gotten better and better and better. She's reached out to the community. I mentioned a public meeting she attended. She didn't have to do that. We feel very comfortable that Second Act can do this project in Goldsboro. We want more downtown living. We feel that's very important to our downtown success. So Second Act seemed to jump right in that it seemed to make sense to them too. We own this 3-acre tract. There are not very many 3-acre tracts in our downtown available for sale, so we have to make sure this site is done right. What I have appreciated is the partnership all the way through where we've talked with Addie and her staff. It's been about what's best for all of us.
For me, the revitalization of a city is to create the mechanism where you have a multiplicity of economic status moving into the same place, living in the same place. You have the poor, you have the affluent living in the same community, and so the trajectory is moved because nobody see each other as poor, but we are helping our neighbor. So to create that new paradigm, you have to have development downtown, you have to have development in poor neighborhoods, or move blight and create beauty. If we obsess with our problem, we will never see the possibility. So when I see a boarded up building, I do not see the problem, I see possibilities. Here you have two nonprofits coming together. One, they have the expertise, the other has a good project. Second Act has the expertise, what they bring to the table and the passion we bring, and we have a common purpose. And the commonality in which we move forward is that Second Act will be a tremendous partnership that move this project forward, and the benefit is that our people will be happy. That makes me sound like I have an accent. Thank you so much for having me today. I want to just recognize Ms. Ward, who traveled with me, and John from Wilson, because Wilson is in the house and we're going to make things happen. I want to share with you from a simple subject of making a difference, from struggle to significance. From struggles to significance. What are some of the fundamentals that require us to mobilize agencies to act in a connective effort to help our struggling communities? We must have a message that has manifestation. Makes no sense. It's like the preacher preach, come to Jesus, and you don't see no manifestation. There is a need for manifestation. Concern that individuals will move from where they are to something of purpose. So we must have a message that has manifestation, concern that delivers tangibles, and compassion that leads people out of crisis. This requires us to be intentional in our operation for transformation of our community. I believe in all my heart that communities can be transformed, but you need to have those passions that can create those purposeful community. The struggles are not over, one great writer puts it. If there are no struggles, we have no progress. And that is Frederick Douglass. Therefore, our past is not indicative of our future. We cannot look at what we used to do. We have to look at what we are capable of doing. So how do we move from success to significance? We need to focus on the power that is in us. I believe that the power of God is in us for us to go and transform our community. It is always good to sing Kumbaya, but nobody's coming and nobody's being restored. You're only singing. So never obsess yourself with success, because we can make a big deal out of success, but people will still never experience significance. So let me just share this with you. Success is just achievements and accomplishments. You are significant when you reach back and bring others forward. When you look at the blight in your community, when you look at the dilapidated buildings in your community, something must inspire you and motivates you and pushes you to say, I can do better than look at the blight. Significance is when you see your brothers and sisters struggling with drug addictions, poor housing, poor health care, struggling with making ends meet, struggling with relational difficulties, struggling with pain of the past, struggling with the perplexities that caused by the overwhelming pressures of life. I look at this group and I see where our better days are ahead of us. I see blacks, whites, I see colored, I see multicolors, I see some pink, some purple. What am I saying? I don't see color. I see human beings. And as human beings, we have what it takes to make such a significant difference. Therefore, I'm going to share 4 things with you this morning. Reclaiming our place. Reclaiming our place. It is noteworthy and important when we reach back and help others. We must never settle for success when we can become significant. People living in our communities are a vital part of who we are, and we cannot see them struggling and never reach out to help them. And so reclaiming our place. There are many communities that are experiencing blight and dilapidated buildings. Housing is in disrepair. And I believe that we have the tenacity, we have the ability to do something about it. These are communities that once were stable communities, thriving, doing great things. They had businesses, but now they are no longer there. And so my motivation is that we as community leaders must help these communities to reclaim their place of stability and acceptable standards. We all live in good houses, and then when we pass through our neighbors, we see our neighborhood looking deteriorated and just awful. And so it breeds crime. And when you have crime, then you have the density of poverty just keep on growing. So we need to move them from struggles to significance. Secondly, not only that, we need to reclaim our place. That every small areas in Virginia, North Carolina, and all over America, we can go and make a difference in those areas. But we need to retool our people. Retooling our people becomes a significant place that we need to be. What are we required to do in order to retool our communities? We must face it and fix it. We must face it and fix it and forget about it. In other words, we have not faced the problem. We have not tried to fix it, so we can forget about blight. We should never look at blight and say, oh, we can't do anything about it. We need to fix it, and forget it. And it's like a cliche for some people. I developed this face it, fix it, and forget it. I use it, so if you need some therapy, I can tell you how to do that. Yeah. But we need to face the issue, fix the issue, and then we can move on to the other one. So we face it, fix it, and we forget it. It is done, and we move on to the other. Now, the challenges in retooling is that we got to educate our people. We got to educate them. We got to revitalize our communities through education, innovation, micro enterprises. We need to say where there is one dilapidated building or community, we can make the difference. So we need to do vocational training. We need to rebuild our communities by saying when we do it, we move from struggles to significance. Thirdly, not only that we need to reclaim our place and retool our people, but we have to review our practice to revive our community. So reviewing our practices. Now, I know some of you have been doing it a certain way for a long time, and that's the only way you know how to do it. I want to see a garden on top of a 2-story building. I want to see where I can plant my tomatoes and my cabbage. Well, it might be a few cabbages, but at least it's up there. My peppers right on the top of the building. And so I can walk up and cut it down, cook it, and help feed my neighbor. I believe that reviewing our practices is going to be essential if we're going to move from struggles to significance. As community leaders, if our people are going to move from struggles to significance, we must review our practice, our policies, and our procedures for getting things done. There are some of us that are still using outdated approaches. And if we don't stop and reevaluate and look at how we are getting where we need to get, we will still be getting the same thing we have been getting all these years. So there are some of us that living in the 21st century but still want to do the 8-track tape. Thinking how to still put that thing in that box. I wouldn't know how to do it. But we need to think out of the box. And thinking out of the box is not always the only thing to do. I want us to just thinking out of the box is inadequate at times. It is never the thing that moves us. It is when we get out of the box and do something about it. Because thinking will never get you there. So I hope I make my point clear. Thinking out of the box is a great idea. Wonderful. But that's all some people do, think out of the box. They never initiate the things that they think out of the box. So I'm suggesting that reviewing our practices, when we think out of the box, go build the box. Go create the building. Create the community that we need to see. And finally, because I know possibly by now I'm boring you, but reclaiming our place, all communities, Goldsboro, Wilson, the project we are doing in Wilson is going to be an impact, a tremendous impact to our city. I'm proud of Wilson. I believe Wilson is the greatest city in the world, and you all need to come on down there and live there. So retooling our people, so we're going to reclaim our place, retool our people, reviewing our practices is essential. But finally, recognizing our possibilities. So listen to me. Recognizing our possibility. We are obsessed with problems. And when we are obsessed with problems, we cannot see our possibilities. When we are obsessed with how bad it is, we will never see how tangible things can be. We get so obsessed with how bad it is that we cannot see the blessing in the bad. All of us possess good in us. The best of us and the worst of us. The person sitting beside you have some great ideas, but they have some crazy ideas too. They just never share them with you. Keep it to yourself, please. But recognizing our possibilities, I believe that our better days are ahead of us. I believe that second act will give us the opportunity to maximize our potential. That we don't look back, but we look forward. I believe that our better days are ahead of us because when we work together collectively, we can be more significant than just be successful. So listen, as I close. We do not need to reinvent the wheel. Second act communities is what we need. Creating a new paradigm is what creates progressive communities. So I say to you, partnership becomes an essential piece. Partner with others to make things happen in your community. If we partner with each other, we can now develop a new paradigm. That new paradigm gives us a progressive community. I firmly believe that the time has come where communities can come together and make a significant impact by moving from struggles to significance. Thank you so much.
Good morning. I'm Scott Stevens, City Manager for Goldsboro, North Carolina. Honored to be here today and share our experience thus far with Second Act Communities, and to say thank you to Miss Addie Wright-Thomason for inviting me to share our story. I love to get out and talk about our community. As with most things in life, timing is everything. And when I saw on the agenda, I'm pretty close to lunch. So for one reason it's important that I move on is lunch, and so I'll commit to that of being on time. But more importantly, the time is right for new development in downtown Goldsboro.
I believe the multi-use project that we are discussing with Second Act Communities to include retail on the first floor and upper story apartments will be very successful. Goldsboro is a community of 36,000 people in the county seat of Wayne County, which has a population of 124,000. So we're relatively small in some parts of the world. We're located 50 miles east of Raleigh, the state capital. We're also the host community for Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, which is home to the 4th Fighter Wing and the 916th Air Refueling Wing. And although North Carolina is one of the fastest growing states in the nation, we are a divided state of growth or no or negative growth in many communities. Fortunately, Goldsboro and Wayne County are enjoying some of the growth within our state. As I mentioned, the time is right for development in our downtown, but let me share with you why I believe this to be true. We're in the position we're in today because of events that occurred over 10 years ago. In 2006, we began a public process to create a downtown master plan, which our city council adopted in 2007. The primary recommendation of the plan was to transform our Main Street, or Center Street, from a primarily vehicular space to a more pedestrian inviting space. So while a plan is very important, it generally takes passionate people and money to make things happen. Passionate people we have in Goldsboro, and Addie experienced that firsthand and is learning very quickly. We needed money to make the project a reality. The City Council was willing to put up their part of the millions, and we were fortunate to receive a federal Tiger grant in 2013 so that we could break ground on our Center Street project. We did that in August of 2014 and reopened the street last October. We completely rebuilt and regraded the cross-section of the first 4 blocks from building to building, which is 140 feet in width. The map that I have, I'd at least like to orient, our downtown or Center Street is 6 blocks, and this map is difficult to see, but at the top of the map are the first 4 blocks that we have renovated. At the bottom of the map are 2 blocks remaining that are meant to be residential. We have City Hall, a Paramount Theater owned by the city, a police fire complex, and our 3-acre site across from the police fire complex. As the project moved through, our amenities included throughout this Center Street renovation were Wi-Fi throughout, uplighting, and again, some before and after photos of what we've done, uplighting on trees, plantings, public art, fountains, benches, wider sidewalk, music as you walk along the sidewalks, mid-block crossings with pedestrian areas, again, trying to make that a more inviting pedestrian space. And as I said earlier, timing is everything. Sometime last fall, I received an email from Congressman Butterfield's office asking if we would meet with someone they knew, Miss Addie Wright Thomason, who was interested in coming to Goldsboro. Congressman Butterfield has been a huge supporter of the city, so it was easy to say yes. And while I can't speak for Addie, I believe she was impressed with what she saw going on throughout Goldsboro and in particular downtown. The time was right. She shared that they were always looking for a local partner or sponsor to be involved in their projects. And if we move forward, they would ask 2 people from Goldsboro to serve on their national board. And I said to myself, that's nice. That is more of a partnership as you're starting a relationship, to have that offering and to know that's an expectation. Our conversation started with affordable housing, progressed to workforce housing. And when we talked about where, I shared that they considered this 3-acre lot owned by the city at the southern portion of our newly renovated Center Street. So it's at the southern portion of those 4 blocks. Part of our downtown plan has been to transition from the mostly commercial blocks to the north, to mixed use in this block, to full residential in the remaining 2 blocks to the south. So as Addie and I were discussing this project, I asked if they could build first floor retail with upper story apartments. That's what we've envisioned for this site. And she said they thought they could. Again, nice. It feels right. So we met a few more times, and when we talked about workforce housing, we found we really have a higher salary for our employees that wouldn't work for them. And depending on the market, that a market rate project might work in our downtown. And as our conversations progressed, these are some examples of what we are envisioning for Goldsboro. Before either of us have invested any more time or effort or money into this project, we needed to talk with my city council to make sure they were with us. Addie agreed to come to our council retreat that was held this past February, so a few months ago, to begin the public conversation. Addie, Rhonda, and Sharon came and spent a few hours with our elected officials, again this past February. She reiterated that they needed a community partner and discussed the project concept. The city council seemed very receptive to the idea. And I'm not sure how news travels in other towns, but in downtown Goldsboro, news travels fast. Unfortunately, the news is often based on false assumptions. And we mailed this notice out to stakeholders after research, and after they spent time researching Second Act communities, our active downtown decided that we were bringing a poorly timed affordable housing project into our downtown area. So they were excited. In their defense, we had educated our city council on affordable housing needs and benefits, and my city council is very supportive of those types of projects. But we've not spent the necessary time with our downtown stakeholders to educate them and help them understand what the project's benefits are as well. So after some conversation, I convinced Addie that it was important for us to meet with the community before our local paper wrote about her presentation to city council, because again, those false assumptions move forward. So we scheduled an early evening meeting the same day she presented to city council. The weather forecast turned out to be a good indicator of how the meeting would begin. For those that remember, well, I know several of us remember February 24th, tornado watches were posted in the Goldsboro area, somewhat unusual for us. We had warnings, we were moving people around throughout the building, but the comments we were hearing from the community matched the forecast, so we knew we were in for a nice night. I opened the meeting quickly, turned it over to Addie, and whew, stepped aside. She shared a presentation with the group, similar to what we had shared with the city council earlier that day, and then spent another hour or so answering questions. And since that meeting, while still somewhat skeptical, our downtown stakeholders are excited about the possibilities. So it was a good day for us. Addie and I talked about how to move the project forward. The next step for us was to get it to where Second Act could purchase or own the property, and the city could sell it to them. We followed our state's rules for going through an upset bid process. The city council was willing to allow that. And I am pleased to report as of this date, and our bid time has expired, that we received no other offers on the 3-acre site. That is a yay. And although not a done deal yet, we're in a position to develop a contract that is both fair to the Second Act communities and to the city of Goldsboro as we move through all the parts of doing the market analysis, working with the community, doing preliminary design work to determine if the project is really viable in our downtown. If all goes well, and as we all expect it to, I hope we're breaking ground in the near future. The city spent over $17 million on public infrastructure in our downtown in the past 4 years. We sold our council on the idea that fixing the public infrastructure, i.e. transforming Center Street and downtown Goldsboro, would make it more inviting and would entice new private investment, and it's working. It is far exceeding our expectation. The time, and as I said, the time is right for a multi-use project like the one we're talking about today. Since September 2013, downtown has realized 29 new property acquisitions and 32 new businesses. That's over a 10% increase in our downtown business community. That is very significant for Goldsboro. The private investment is approaching $10 million over the past 2.5 years, and the numbers that impressed me the most are really these last two, or on this slide. In the previous 2 fiscal years, we had an average of $700,000 a year in private investment in our downtown, $700,000 a year. In the first 5 months of this year, we've had over $2.2 million, and more is coming. People are very excited about Goldsboro. And if the recent private investment isn't enough to convince you that the time is right, my staff and community continue to push the vision to transform downtown Goldsboro. Our city council has allowed us to apply for another Tiger grant, which would invest another $6.5 million into our downtown. And the most interesting part for me is this plain little public space in this photo called Cornerstone Commons. We envision this space to look like this. It will include public bathrooms, and next slide from the back, please. It includes public bathrooms, permanent shelters, bandstand, splash pad, to have other amenities into our downtown, to attract a different group of people or make it a more inviting space. And again, very excited that this concept will happen in the near future. It also, this site happens to be across the street from the 3-acre site that we're talking about with Second Act Communities. And while I can't tell you where the project will end up and with Second Act Communities, I can tell you the interaction with Addie, Sharon, Rhonda, and all the other staff members from our perspective has been fantastic. They have included us in all the steps that we wanted to be included in. Addie said she wanted a community partner. For this project, that partner is the city of Goldsboro. So far, it has been a very collaborative effort, and I'm excited about the opportunity to work on a project that has merit and tremendous potential for both Second Act Communities and the city of Goldsboro. Again, we believe the time is right, and thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jessica Guglielmo, Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for both Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation and its partner organization, Second Act Communities. And I'm proud to be able to present to you the impact reports for both organizations. Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation is an award-winning nonprofit organization with over 30 years of experience providing quality, affordable housing opportunities for low and moderate income individuals and families in the city of Virginia Beach. We currently own and manage 411 properties with a total assessed value that exceeds $41 million, making us the largest affordable housing property owner in the city of Virginia Beach. Since inception, we have housed over 6,400 individuals in safe, decent, and affordable communities. We have also provided supportive services, including case management and direct financial assistance to over 8,800 individuals who had experienced a housing crisis. Our ongoing efforts will bring housing stability to individuals and communities alike and serve as a crucial step in making communities whole. Our work requires passion for all humanity, inclusivity, equal opportunity, trust, justice, courage, and respect for our partners and our neighbors. And these corporate values are evident in the work that we do each and every day. In 2015, we were pleased to open 2 satellite offices in the community to extend our reach and serve our neighbors where they are. Both community-based offices, the first at Cedar Grove and the second at Atlantis Manor, were opened in the first quarter of 2015. The permanent rental housing programs operated by Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation provide safe, stable, and affordable rental housing opportunities for low and moderate income individuals and families, the elderly, persons with mental health and developmental disabilities, and homeless and disabled veterans. Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation provides housing in 37 neighborhoods throughout the city of Virginia Beach. During the past year, we served 971 individuals, 223 of which were new neighbors. Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation is committed to providing housing solutions and supportive services for homeless and at-risk families. Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation's Transitional Housing Program is one such housing solution. The Transitional Housing Program is a short-stay program that provides safe and temporary housing for supportive services for homeless individuals and families. Participants receive comprehensive case management services as they work toward achieving independence and self-sufficiency. In 2015, 222 individuals were served in the Transitional Housing Program. 50% of those individuals came from temporary shelters. 25% of those individuals served moved daily between family and friends prior to being housed in our Transitional Housing Program. And 16% of those persons and families were living on the street or in their vehicle prior to placement in our Transitional Program. The Supportive Services for Veterans Families program is designed to promote housing stability among low-income veterans and veteran families who reside in or are transitioning to permanent housing. In 2015, 548 individuals throughout Hampton Roads received assistance through our Supportive Services for Veterans Families program. We are so proud that this program played a significant role in exceeding the goals of the 100-Day Challenge to End Veteran Homelessness initiated by Governor McAuliffe, and helped to make Virginia the first state to complete the Mayor's Challenge to End Veteran Homelessness in November of 2015. Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation launched several new initiatives in 2015. We receive calls daily from homeless and at-risk individuals and families experiencing a housing crisis. And in an effort to provide a no-barrier solution, we expanded our shelter capacity by converting an existing rental housing unit into a nightly shelter that serves homeless families with children in need of immediate housing assistance. The nightly shelter has provided 48 bed nights of safe and secure housing for homeless families in the final quarter of 2015. Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation became a service provider for the Energy Share program through Dominion Virginia Power in October. This program offers bill payment assistance to veteran households who are facing financial challenges. This new partnership resulted in 41 veteran families receiving over $20,000 in energy bill assistance during the last quarter of 2015. Recognizing that food insecurity impacts so many of our resident neighbors, Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation became a partner agency of the Food Bank of Southeastern Virginia and the Eastern Shore, allowing neighbors in need to receive supplemental nutrition assistance. During the first month of operation alone, our food pantry distributed over 450 pounds of food and provided nutrition assistance to 47 individuals in our community. The owner-occupied rehabilitation program allows neighbors that lived on a fixed income to use their home's equity to have major repairs done with professional oversight at a very low interest rate, which they would not be able to get from a commercial lending institution. In 2015, eligible homeowners could qualify for one of three types of assistance: emergency repairs, facade, or home rehabilitation. During the year 2015, the program provided almost $400,000 of financial assistance for low-income homeowners in the city of Virginia Beach. One of our homeowners happily expresses that after the rehabilitation on her home was complete, she now calls her home the best-looking home on the street. Our partner employees are one of our greatest assets. We strive to foster a collaborative and creative environment where each person feels encouraged to contribute to our processes, decision, planning, and our culture. Our partner employees are dedicated to our mission and work hard to better the lives of those we serve each and every day. With the best partner employees in place, real change will continue to happen for the people that we serve. We are so thankful for our volunteers. In 2015, Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation launched its new Office of Volunteer Services, re-envisioning the possibilities of utilizing volunteers to significantly expand our organizational capacity. 93 volunteers contributed over 700 hours of time to help the organization serve neighbors through both position-based volunteer roles and at community outreach events. Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation re-envisioned its approach to community outreach in 2015 and hosted 5 community outreach events with more than 450 guests in attendance. Our Read One Book Together was one of these outreach events. The event was a joint event with our partner organization, Second Act Communities. And this event was designed as an opportunity for citizens in the Hampton Roads community to read and discuss Community, the Structure of Belonging by Peter Block, in order to explore ways that we relate to one another and discuss ways to leverage our perspectives to positively impact the community. Last fiscal year, our consolidated operating budget was just over $6 million, with rental income making up 60% of the revenue, followed by government grants at almost 32%, and developer fees at 9%. Program services were the largest expense line item at 93%, followed by management at 6% and development at 1%. We worked hard during the year to diversify our funding streams, seeking funding opportunities from local foundations in efforts to serve more neighbors in new ways. In 2015, 7 new funding sources were identified, adding over $100,000 in new funding to our operating budget. Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation is now a GuideStar Gold member and is committed to providing transparency and accountability to our neighbors and our stakeholders. Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation has continued to strengthen its board capacity, and in 2015 developed a new formal onboarding program to cultivate and orient new board members. We would like to thank and acknowledge the contributions of all of those who served on our board in 2015. We would also like to acknowledge our leadership team members and our partner employees for the work that they do each and every day in support of our mission. And lastly, Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation would like to recognize and thank our corporate sponsors and for the contributions to the organization. So I am honored to be part of 2 such innovative and transformational organizations that are making real change in our communities. Now that we took a look at the accomplishments of Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation, I would like to share with you the impact report for Second Act Communities. This 23rd year of operations has been a particularly exciting year for Second Act Communities. By working with municipalities and nonprofit partners, Second Act Communities is opening up doors of opportunities to develop housing that creates a lasting and positive impact in communities across the nation. During 2015, Second Act Communities expanded its reach and partnerships and proudly established offices in the city of Norfolk and Raleigh, North Carolina. Additionally, our network has grown from the Hampton Roads and Richmond areas of Virginia to Raleigh, Wilson, Goldsboro, Rocky Mount, North Carolina, to Chicago, Illinois. Today, Second Act Communities is actively engaged in collaborative discussions with partners in all these areas in support of our mission and strategic direction of serving more neighbors in new ways and in new geographic areas. And I am so proud to announce our next project, Cypress Landing, which will be in my home city of Chesapeake, Virginia. Cypress Landing is a new construction development consisting of 50 rental housing units for homeless and disabled low-income veterans. The community will be constructed on approximately 1 3/4 acres of land donated by the city of Chesapeake. Cypress Landing will include office space, recreation space, including an exercise room and community room, as well as outdoor seating, walking trails, and a community garden. We are so pleased to have the City of Chesapeake as our partner and wish to thank them for their support in helping Second Act Communities serve those who served our country. Groundbreaking of Cypress Landing will be just under a year from now and is planned for March of 2017. In 2015, Second Act Communities launched new community outreach and education events, including our Forever Home for Every Child movement, which is leading the charge to end homelessness across the nation. In October of 2015, Second Act Communities organized and hosted its first ever Grassroots Community Leadership Symposium to build the capacity of grassroots leaders to create real and sustainable change in their communities. We are committed to employing sound fiscal policies. As the charts on this page illustrate, the majority of our funding for the fiscal year 14-15 expenses went toward fulfilling our mission of creating housing and supportive services that profoundly change the lives of our neighbors across the United States. Our work requires a tremendous amount of knowledge and expertise, but it also requires a passion to serve the community, and we are thrilled to have a leadership team that has all those qualities guiding our work. Second Act Communities has undergone a major transformation. In 2015, our bylaws were changed to increase the number of board members from 9 to 31, and our geographic service area and board membership is now nationwide. Second Act Communities would like to thank and acknowledge the invaluable contribution of all of our board members that served in the year 2015. Lastly, Second Act Communities would like to recognize and thank our corporate partners for their generous contributions. Your contributions and your support make a difference in the lives of those we serve. Thank you.
We did a lot of work last year. Some people might be asking me for raises after this is over. And we did. We took a lot of risks. We were innovative. We pushed boundaries because we have an urgent need to serve people. Your home and your neighborhood is your core. And it is very important that everyone in the United States live in a supportive neighborhood. Everybody needs a supportive neighborhood. It's just not people who are disabled or homeless. I need a supportive neighborhood, and that's what we are about doing at Second Act. There is this song that I love, and it's called Can You Imagine? And it talks about not necessarily earthly things, but what there is to come for all of us. We have imagined a lot of things this year in both of our corporations. Dr. Bell, not only have we imagined them, we have acted on them. So we chose as our theme for this meeting, Can You Imagine? And what I'm going to do is to spend just a few minutes pushing forward in 2016. Jessica has told you what we did in 2015. And I want to share with you what we're going to do in 2016. You know, one of our deepest fears, and the reason that we don't progress, is not because we think we're inadequate. I know you've heard that quote before. Our deepest fear is that we just might be powerful beyond measure. And it's always intriguing to me how we limit ourselves and our organizations by that deep root of fear. There's a poet by the name of Marion Williamson who said that playing small does not serve the world. And when we play small, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. You know, our mere presence as Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation and Second Act Community automatically liberates those around us. We work with all types of populations and all types of situations. And people do what you do, right? They don't necessarily do what you say. So that liberation of our partners and our neighbors is really what is happening in 2016 and what is going to continue to happen. Can you imagine an all-new and integrated IT enterprise implementation for both Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation and Second Act communities that will allow us to have remote communications to and from anywhere in the United States? That includes asset management, case management, construction project management, and volunteer management. Can you imagine? Well, that's already happening and will be completed by the end of 2016. Can you imagine that we would launch a joint major gifts campaigns for both corporations, the first time in our history? Can you imagine? Can you imagine that the Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation launches a new speakers life skills series called Ascend? And we've had two, I believe, Tanisha, and we've had people from all walks of life. It's really been an opportunity to share our stories with people who would not necessarily be a part of our organization. Can you imagine, instead of us always asking for grants, Andy, that we would actually give grant scholarships to residents for the first time in our history? It's not a lot of money, but it's a start. We're the grantor instead of the grantee in 2016. Can you imagine that the Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation would initiate a new community healing arts initiative? You do know there's a direct tie between stress and economic issues, economic depression. The arts is a great way to help manage that stress. We nicknamed this program CHI, and we're piloting it as we speak. Can you imagine that for the first time in our history, this board and these boards and this organization has made a long-term commitment to community revitalization for Lake Edwards and the surrounding communities? We've actually partnered with Reverend Rogers and actually his youth pastor at his church and others in the community, and come up with the idea of the spot. Actually taking one of the units that we already own and repurpose it to serve neighbors in that community. I got a new name, by the way, Reverend Rogers. I was somewhere and I was describing the spot to someone, and they said, "Oh, you mean the Kool-Aid house?" Because I always talk about that house that always has extra popsicles to share. And someone corrected me and said, "Oh, no, that's the Kool-Aid house. That's the mom that always has Kool-Aids to share with all the kids." So I thought that was pretty cool. Can you imagine that Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation has actually gotten together and launched a comprehensive intake program which centralizes intake, referral, and housing services for the first time, so that we don't have a situation where I'm doing intake, Cecile's doing intake as our receptionist. Where is Chrissy? Is Chrissy in the room? Raise your hand high. So Chrissy is our new intake coordinator, and she is just doing a fantastic job. And finally, can you imagine that two organizations headquartered in Virginia Beach and started 20 and 30 years ago would become game changers in what we now think about and how we now think about and practice community development in the United States. And that those two organizations would forever change generations of people. Can you imagine that? Well, I can. Thank you. I would like to introduce to you today a very special person to talk about her story. Her name is Maureen Howard, and she's one of our neighbors, and we wanted you to have an opportunity to hear her story and how our work has impacted her and her family. Maureen.
In 2010, I was living with my mom and she passed away. I decided to relocate in Virginia Beach for a fresh start. I was working at Dollar Tree and I received a transfer to Virginia Beach. The plan was to live close with friends. Upon my arrival, my friends advised me that me and my daughter would no longer be allowed to stay with her. My 8-year-old daughter and I had no place to live. I went to the community organization seeking shelter, and I was also provided a pamphlet. I contacted this agency daily until I was placed on a waiting list for shelter. While we waited for shelter, we had to sleep in a car. On several nights, during the week, I had to work till 11 p.m. My employer allowed me and my daughter to stay with me while I worked. After closing at night, I would park the car with me and my daughter at her daycare. We were able to use the daycare's bathroom to shower and receive hot meals. While my daughter and I was in my daughter's daycare, I would search for shelter and permanent housing. I continued this pattern for 6 months. Finally, shelter opened up in Portsmouth. I resided in the shelter for 6 months, and I received case management services. Even though I was grateful for shelter, I was keeping a secret from the staff. The secret was my daughter, a chronic health condition. I was apprehensive about sharing information as I was concerned would impact our shelter. Finally, I decided to share my concern with my case manager. She reassured me that my housing wasn't in jeopardy. I worked with my case manager to obtain long-term housing placement. My ultimate goal was secure housing and better employment. By the time I left shelter, I was able to secure a better employment with Rite Aid. I was approaching my exit date, and my shelter case manager discussed a vacancy in Virginia Beach Development Corporation Transitional Program. On November 11th, 2012, I moved into my transitional housing unit. During transitional housing, I worked with my neighbor advocate to discuss goals. The goals were to pursue opportunity in the pharmacy tech program at my job. It seemed like an ideal solution to achieve a better employment. Unfortunately, I missed the deadline for the entry to the program. I continued to work with my neighbor advocate to redevelop a new plan. The new plan was to secure another part-time job. I was actively searching employment when I was offered a promotion at work. I accepted the promotion as an assistant manager trainee. I saw this opportunity for growth within the company. Even though I increased my wages, I needed to secure affordable housing. My neighbor and I actively searched for permanent housing. At the time, my monthly income was only $1,200 a month. I needed to save $1,200 a month to move into permanent housing. I eliminated unnecessary spending and focused on permanent housing. Then I received a call from my neighborhood advocate regarding permanent housing. I signed my lease August 13th, 2014. It was an awesome opportunity to transit from Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation Transitional Housing Program to Virginia Beach Development Corporation Rental Program. If it wasn't for Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation, I would still be in that car. I attributed my success to the tools and support by the case management services and shelter, Virginia Beach Community Corporation. I am still in housing, and I have found support network amongst my neighbors. My goal is to continue to give back to individuals in need. Thank you.
The Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation works with the city to provide affordable housing for low and moderate income people, some of them veterans like Dan Halleck, who is today a clean and sober man. But after his wife died in 2002, Dan became addicted to heroin and lost everything.
The house, the cars, the families, relatives, just your dignity, your pride, you just lose it all. Your only thought 24/7 is drugs. I was fortunate I could keep a job, so I had some income coming in, but you can't afford to stay in those hotel rooms.
So Dan started living in his truck before finally landing temporary housing at Vet's house in Virginia Beach. Then he heard about the VBCDC. They determined that Dan qualified for permanent housing here at an apartment complex for homeless and disabled vets built by VBCDC. Dan now has a one-bedroom apartment with a full kitchen and freedom to come and go as he pleases.
For one thing, you don't have to live with anybody. You don't have anybody standing over you. This is your house. You come and go like you want. You have your key. This is your location. And it's great.
We just try to create buildings that are wonderful homes for people that have done wonderful things for us.
But Dan needed direction.
You know, when you're married for 32 years, my wife handled all the finances. I didn't even know how to write a check, tell you the truth.
The VBCDC taught Dan how to manage his money. Now, with a steady job as a plumber, he's back on his feet and is now counseling other vets.
What we try to do, at least from a housing perspective, is to be able to give them a housing option that is no more than 30% of their overall income. And that is really a great relief to people to know they have safe, secure home for their children that fits in properly with the amount of money that they earn.
I got so overwhelmed and I even dropped myself down. I was so happy.
Teresa Rivera is thankful VBCDC found her a home, restoring a sense of security for her and her son.
I felt so comfortable and didn't have no problem there ever since.
It's for single mothers like Teresa and veterans like Dan that VBCDC owns and manages more than 400 units of affordable housing and is always thinking of new ways to bring more equity to the communities it serves.
Hey, and now I'm very pleased to have the honor of introducing Mayor William D. Sessoms Jr., a lifelong resident of the city of Virginia Beach, who began his political career in 1988 as an at-large member of the Virginia Beach City Council. In 1992, his fellow council members selected him to be the vice mayor, a position he held for a full decade until 2002. Oh, there they go again. In 2008, we have this all the time at our office, by the way. Yes. In 2008, he was elected to serve as mayor. During his first term, he focused largely on transportation and economic development issues, and he launched the Mayor's Action Challenge for children and families. This community-wide program provides youth and families with accessible, affordable, and sustainable opportunities that will improve their quality of life, help them recognize their strengths, increase their chances for achievement, and promote their development as happy and responsible citizens. Many great things have happened as a result of his ability to bring people together for a common cause, and I'll just mention two accolades. In 2012, Virginia Beach was named Best Run City in America by 24/7 Wall Street, a financial news website that said, Virginia Beach is one of the most prosperous cities in the country, with among the 10 lowest violent crime, unemployment, and poverty rates, as well as among the 10 best for median income, high school graduation, and health insurance coverage rates. And Mayor Sessoms was recognized as Elected Official of the Year by the Association of Defense Communities, in part for the active role he played following the FA-18 jet crash in April of 2012. Hearing the crash from his office, he went to the site and coordinated emergency response efforts with the military and the governor's office. A graduate of Virginia Commonwealth University, Mayor Sessoms is a great collaborator, one who listens to and thinks about different viewpoints. And I can honestly say that both Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation and Second Act Communities have enjoyed a long collaborative relationship with the mayor and the city of Virginia Beach. His support of community service organizations is immeasurable. He currently serves on the Board of Visitors of Old Dominion University and has volunteered for and served 10 different nonprofits in the Virginia Beach and city of Norfolk. Mayor Sessoms has been married to his wife Beverly since 1977, and he has 3 children and 3 grandchildren. Now it's my pleasure to present to you Virginia Beach Mayor William Sessoms.
Thank you very much. Well, good afternoon. And it is my pleasure to be here, but I got to tell you, after listening to Maureen and hearing Dan's story, folks, that's really impressive. And we must understand the importance of what your organization has done to make those stories become reality. And to Dan and to Maureen, I have great admiration for what you've done and certainly admire where you are today. And I want to give you a round of applause. Okay, we're going to start with a little bit of a history lesson first. The Virginia Beach City Council created the Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation more than 30 years ago with the hope, expectation, and the plan that it would become an important part of the city's housing and neighborhood preservation activities. With the active partnership between the Department of Housing and Neighborhood Preservation and the VBCDC, and that and more have been accomplished, and it has been spectacular. VBCDC has perfected the art of scattered site housing development with homes that provide quality, affordable housing in many corners of the city. You've also succeeded in creating quality, affordable housing for people with special needs in partnership with the city's Department of Human Services. Second Act Communities was created by the Development Corporation as a partner to expand, improve, and provide decent, affordable housing. The success of both the Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation and Second Act Communities is built upon successful partnerships, and over the years you have partnered with many organizations, both private, public, and nonprofit. For all your hard work and dedication, I sincerely thank you. We are all well aware of the fact that it's difficult for many families, both here and across the country, to achieve an affordable lifestyle. Your permanent rental housing programs provide stable, affordable rental housing opportunities for low to moderate income people, including families, the elderly, people with severe mental health disabilities, people with developmental disabilities, and homeless or veterans with disabilities. In other words, you offer help, you offer hope, and you offer a place to call home. I had the opportunity to preview your impact reports, and indeed, the Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation and Second Act Communities are making a big difference in the lives of families, in the lives of people with disabilities, and in the lives of veterans. It is absolutely incredible to me that on any given night, more than 47,000 veterans are homeless in the United States of America, and that's according to the National Coalition for Homeless Veterans. For many service members, the reality is that while everybody is eager to thank them, society is less enthusiastic when it comes to helping them once they have been honorably discharged. This very night, men and women who serve their country with honor will sleep in doorways, in alleys, under bridges, on benches, on the beach, in boxes, in lean-tos, and in encampments without dignity. Here in Virginia Beach and throughout Hampton Roads, we place great value on our long and proud connection to the armed services and their members, who are so much a part of our community and our lives. They are standing watch all around the world, and we're proud of each and every one of them. It is our responsibility, our moral obligation, to work together to bring an end to what is among the most urgent problems facing our veterans, homelessness. Thanks to the VBCDC, Second Act Communities, and other partners, we are making huge headway. More than a year ago, I committed the Virginia Beach to the national goal of ending veteran homelessness by the end of 2015. Working with the Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation and the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, along with multiple nonprofit agencies and the faith community, 157 homeless veterans in Virginia Beach either had or were on their way to having a place to call home. Did you hear what I just said? Isn't that good news? In Southampton Roads, 297 homeless veterans either had or were on their way to having a place to call home as well. Across the Commonwealth of Virginia last year, housing was provided to more than 1,400 homeless veterans, more than double the 620 identified in January as part of an annual one-day count of homelessness. That qualified Virginia as the first state in the country to effectively bring a functional end to veteran homelessness. I'm proud that Virginia Beach was a big part of the Commonwealth's success. VBCDC was a key partner in this effort. The Supportive Services for Veterans Families program, which VBCDC operates, provided the necessary assistance for many of these veterans. The program provides funds to veteran families so that they can keep or obtain market rate housing and thereby maintain stability for their family. We are continually trying to find and assist any veteran in need of housing. These efforts are in place to ensure that everyone who has proudly and bravely served our country gets the help and support they so richly deserve. In addition, VBCDC has made another significant contribution to ending veteran homelessness by building Cedar Grove Apartments in Virginia Beach. Cedar Grove, which opened several years ago, provides 32 permanent affordable apartments for formerly homeless or disabled veterans. Cedar Grove was one of the first developments of its kind in the United States, designed specifically for disabled and/or homeless veterans, and is a key of the community resources that we are using in ongoing effort to address veteran homelessness. The city's partnership with the Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation and Second Act Communities continues to be a resounding success by providing affordable housing opportunities for low and moderate income families. Here in Virginia Beach, it's our philosophy that the people who are homeless in our city are our homeless, and they are our shared responsibility. Two of our local pastors, Ray Borkman of Beach Fellowship and Steve Kelly of Wave Church, established the Virginia Beach Home Now Foundation to raise a minimum of $1 million to eradicate homelessness in our city. They've collected a quarter of that amount. We've got over $250,000 in hand as we speak. Much of the fundraising efforts will go to support services at the new $29 million Housing Resource Center, which is another great example of a partnership that's the result of caring people who are connecting their visions to effectively help residents who have become disconnected. I am pleased to announce that we plan to break ground on this project in August with a grand opening in April of 2018. Now, folks, I gotta look at Andy over in the corner of my eye over here. This, to me, is one of the greatest things the city's done. As you heard, I got elected to city council in 1988, and I think back then we were looking for a place to build this facility, not to mention to try to fund it. Every time we thought we had a location, guess what happened? Not in my backyard. You know, the bottom line, and then, you know, and that happened a dozen times, I assure you. And then finding the money. Today, we're about ready to break ground. We've got the location and we've got the money. And Andy, thank you for pushing like a son of a gun. I mean, I'm telling you, I appreciate it more than you know. You might also be interested in knowing that the City of Virginia Beach recently signed a contract with Virginia Tech to conduct a housing needs and market analysis study that will soon get underway. The study will show gaps between income levels and available housing, which really makes sense if you think about it. Determine the relationship between residents' incomes and housing costs, another pretty sensible thing to know, and help our city council make informed decisions on new neighborhood and housing developments. and I believe that will result by getting that information. Virginia Beach is very proud of affordable housing that's available, including River Lake, which is the workforce housing development, Tranquility at the Lakes, a senior housing development that will break ground soon in Burton Station, Crescent Square, which had opened just last month. This development includes 42 units for formerly homeless individuals and 38 units for individuals earning 50% or less of the area's median income. Church Street Station, a mixed-income regional efficiency apartment development that is the 6th in the series of regional apartment projects and will serve both previously homeless people and other single people. And Seaside Harbor, an affordable housing development in the resort area that will serve people with disabilities as well as provide new affordable housing. For all of our citizens, we must not stop with affordable housing. We also have to address the bottlenecks and gridlock that occur between the peninsula and the south side. And we have to expand our transportation alternatives so we aren't completely dependent on our cars, because not everybody can afford an automobile. We must work to improve transportation options so that low and moderate income people can move more easily to their homes and to their jobs. That's a big part of the reason I am an advocate for light rail and multimodal transportation. The value of any rapid transit system is the ability to have an alternative to congestion and to spur the kinds of investments that create jobs, broaden the tax base, and provide people choices to live, shop, work, and play in connected communities that don't depend on having a car for every trip. We must build a smart and comprehensive transportation system that can move people and goods with ease and speed. Our leadership responsibility is to equip our communities to be successful, not just for today, but for the future, for our children and their children. As I look out at this audience, I see many experts who are working to equip our communities to be successful. I salute Addie Wright Thomason, her staff, the boards of the Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation and Second Act Communities for their tremendous accomplishments. On behalf of the City Council and the citizens of Virginia Beach, thanks for the important work that you do to make ours a community for a lifetime. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. And in closing, I'd like to share a story that futurist Joel Barker tells, which is based on the writings of Lauren Easley, a scientist and a point. And for those of you who are at the State of the City speech, I apologize that you're gonna have to hear it again. But I will tell you, if you listen to it, I think you'll see why I am repeating it. One day, a man was walking along the beach when he noticed a younger man in the distance picking something up and throwing it into the ocean. As he got closer, he called out, "Good morning. What are you doing?" The young man paused and said, "I'm throwing the starfish in the ocean. The sun is up and the tide is going out, and if I don't throw them in, they'll die." "But young man, don't you realize that there are miles and miles of beach with starfish all along it? You can't possibly make a difference." The young man listened politely, then bent down, picked up another starfish, and threw it into the sea past the breaking waves. It made a difference for that one. The older man didn't know how to reply, so he just turned and walked away. All afternoon, he tried to work and couldn't get the image out of his head. As he thought about it, he realized that what the young man was doing was choosing not to be an observer in the universe and watch it pass by, but choosing to be an actor in the universe and make a difference. When morning came, he got up, put on his clothes, went to the beach, found the young man, and with him spent the rest of the morning throwing starfish in the ocean. You see, what that young man's actions represent is something that is special in each and every one of us. We've all been gifted with the ability to make a difference. And if we can, like that young man, become aware of that gift, we gain through the strength of our visions to power to shape the future. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our challenge. That is my challenge. We must each find our starfish. And if we throw our stars wisely and well, I have no question that this is going to be a wonderful place. Because vision without action is merely a dream. Action without vision just passes the time. But action with vision can change the world. Today, we are standing on the threshold of that change. Shelter is a basic human need, and it's our job, collectively as community leaders, to find housing solutions that work. This story has also inspired our community partnership of faith organizations, nonprofits, and city agencies working to address homelessness, known as BEACH, or bringing an end to all city homelessness. BEACH has adopted the starfish as its logo because of our belief in what that story means. Our experience has conclusively shown that by working together, we are able to achieve greater results than any of us could achieve on our own. It has shown that when we share our time and talents, we all benefit. So together, let's provide the best possible quality of life for future generations. Together, let's leave here today with a renewed sense of inspiration. Together, let's have the vision to see where the world is heading, to see beyond the horizon, and to connect. Thank you very much.
Let's give the mayor another hand. He had something in front of us. He's got another luncheon after us, so we want to let him know how much we appreciate all the calls I give him and his staff, and questions and all the assistance that we do get from the city. We really appreciate that. Let's take just a few minutes to enjoy our lunch. There's a rumor that there's chocolate cake coming. Is that correct? All right, that's what I've been looking for. So why don't we take a few moments just to get to know the folk at our tables, and then we will come back in about 15, 20 minutes and we'll close this thing out. Remember, there are some information tables in the back. If you want to learn a little bit more about what we're doing, feel free. Can I have your attention for just a few moments? I don't think I've had this much fun in quite a while. This has been great. I just have a few thank yous that I want to do before I bring the chairman back to the podium and we exit stage left. First of all, where is Jerry? Get Jerry in here. Come on, Jerry. Cecile. Rosie, stand right there. You're in a good spot. So Jerry, the lady in the maroon dress, was our event planner for this event. Let's give her a big hand. And Rosie and Cecile were her right-hand women in this. So we just want to thank you all. I've heard several comments. What did they say? How many years have you all been doing this? And I said, this is our first one. So I think that's the best comment you could get. A couple of quick announcements. First of all, I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for the time you've spent with us today. Many of you drove a long distance to be here with us, and you just will never know how much this means. We want to be servant leaders to the people in this room. And so this kind of connection means a lot when you're doing the kind of work that we do. My staff wants me to make a couple of announcements just really quickly. We do a back to school prep rally for kids anywhere in Hampton Roads and parents. That happens August the 6th. And Second Act Communities is having its second annual Grassroots Leadership Summit. And let me tell you, let me put a pin in there. This Leadership Summit is for people in the community. You know, we work with so many people in the community that cannot advocate for themselves. for whatever reason, or they don't have a really good picture of what the problem is. But they do have the knowledge to solve their own problems. So we bring together people from the community, and we actually give them our time and work with them to help them build their skills. So this year, where are my Norfolk people? It's in Norfolk at the Marriott on October 7th. Next year, guess where we're going to be? Eastern North Carolina. So we'll be coming that way next year. Absolutely. I want to remind you once again that in your little packet is a little giving card. If you've never had the opportunity, or let me say it differently, if you've never been asked to give to Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation or Second Act Communities, now is your time. So feel free to put it in the envelope, leave it, or with your pledge, or mail it in at a convenient time. At this point, I'm going to ask our chairman to close this meeting in any way they see fit. All right, I'm coming down.
On behalf of Second Act Communities, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in this event. I hope that you've been inspired to participate in other activities that Second Act Communities and Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation may sponsor. We look forward to a dynamic year, and as we fulfill our mission to profoundly change the lives of our neighbors across the United States, we welcome you to join us in helping us to help you help your neighbors at this time.
I'd like to thank all of the featured speakers today, Councilman Michael Bell, City Manager Scott Stevens, Vice President Jessica Guglielmo, CEO Addie Wright Thomason, our neighbor Maureen Howard, Vice President Sharon Schoaf, and our very own Mayor Will Sessoms. Thank you all for the time and effort it took to make this effort successful. We appreciate everyone for being here, and I'd like to thank each attendee and the entire staff and leadership team of Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation and Second Act Communities. It's a great event. It's our first event. It's very impressive. And as I wind down my final year on the board at Virginia Beach Community Development Corporation, Addie asked the question today, can you imagine? And 8 years ago, I could not have imagined we'd be here today talking about Goldsboro, North Carolina, and Chesapeake, Virginia, and Norfolk, Virginia, and other development projects across the state and this region and potentially nationwide. And it's amazing to see how far we've come in just 2 years, really, since Addie has taken over the helm of both organizations. And I can't imagine, or I guess I should be imagining according to what Addie said, but I can't imagine where we're going to be in 8 more years. It's an exciting time for...
Stay on the board and see what happens.
Well, we have term limits. My term limits are kicking in. 2 4-year terms and you're out. At least for a little while, then you can come back. And so I will be involved, and I will continue to follow this organization, and I'm excited to see where it's going in the future. To think 8 years ago we're here today, and where we'll be in 8 more is incredible. So thank you, Addie, for all of your leadership. You're the vision and inspiration for the future of this organization. And I've said it many times, the best decision we've ever made as a board was to hire Addie after the founding CEO retired after 28 years. It was a scary time when you had to transition to a new leader and you've only had one leader. And we made the absolute right choice. It's probably the best thing we've done as a board in my 8 years, is hiring Addie. So anyway, I'd like to thank everyone for being here, and
Somebody got $1.
I've got to call the Virginia Beach Community Development Board meeting to a close. We need a motion for adjournment. Wanda, thank you, and Pastor Rogers seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries.
And I need a motion from Second Act Communities. Moved and properly second. All those in favor, please say aye. Adjourned.
I had one more thing before you walk out. We have 4 additional seats on the bus that we didn't expect to have. What I want to do, Jim, raise your hand. Jim, let's have people meet you right here in the lobby rather than going downstairs. So if you're going on the tour, take all of your personal items and just meet Jim right here in the carpeted area, and he will lead you to the bus. And we're going to have a good rest of the afternoon. And we do have 4 extra seats, so check in with him if you didn't sign up but you'd like to go. Have a great day.